See me right now, do all the smoke. Plus I'm caught my feelings right now. I'm losing hope. So I hope you take this serious now. Cause if you don't, I won't be around for you to hear you from now. God, I thought we were past this. Conversations all past tense. About to kill myself is bad tense. Sick inside, I can't mask this. I don't care what it do hurt you. I trade my evil for your evil. Cause hurt people gon' hurt people. Then turn around and say you're evil. You hear me right now? I lost my voice. I'm shouting cause I'm furious now. I got no choice. So I hope you take it serious now. For the next thought. Silence. While I close my eyelids, thought you would never go. Yeah, I know I said let me go. I ain't think that you would let me know. Said I hate you, never meant it though. I never meant to know. I didn't know the road that I was on was wrong. I didn't know that there was no going back. I didn't know that it was my life and death that I was right or wrong. Nobody told me that. Yeah. Hope you understand me now. They say about my life is about humanity now. We can't see black or white, we must see family now. But the media blinded with hate made us take sides with tragedies. How God we get this low? How we can get your cross? Religion, race, politics, take a thing, talk about it, what's the big way, cause the bitch bumps on. What a bitch me up for the last time. We gotta change now, we don't have time. Black blood, one nation on the collar, we go underdog. Black blood. Save me from myself. I really need your help. I'm going under. Save me from myself. I don't really want to wonder. I'm going under. Welcome to Triple Shot Sports. I am your host, Brandon Combs, alongside Soup Boss, as always. Soup Boss, how are we doing today?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Obviously, we're all sitting in a interesting time as we continue to weigh the year of 2020 and the craziness that's come with it all. So we're obviously sitting here reflecting on a lot of things going on right now, and so. But outside of that, my family's healthy, so life is good in that aspect. So,
yeah, man, absolutely. We're definitely in different times. Today's not a day that I've actually enjoyed trying to put together the show, just because of all the goings on in the world, and what's going on in the sports world, and so. I just want to take the first part of this show, and that's why we started out with that song. And by the way, that was Mises with a song called "Humanity." And right now, that message is something that we absolutely need to hear. And so, you get a chance, check out the video on YouTube. It's Mises. It's called "Humanity," and this guy's amazing. His messages are definitely there. With that being said, look, we're getting cancellations all across sports. And there are things going on. And look, I've been very outspoken when it comes to how I feel about certain events. I've gotten into it with friends. I've gotten into it with people who aren't friends on Facebook. And
God bless social media.
yeah, and that's the thing, man. My whole thing with this is we grab something from social media and we just throw it up on our Facebook page, and we don't check facts. We don't wait for facts to come out. We just hop on the first train that comes along and we take it wherever it's going to go. And it's an unfortunate part of the world that we live in nowadays. But, you know, I'm not against the movement. I'm not. I'm not against the Black Lives Matter. I'm not against any of that. I think that they all have a great cause. I think that some of the things that they're trying to do are great. I'm against the idea of you have to believe what I believe, or we can't talk, or you have to believe what I have to believe, or you're wrong. And that's not what it is. That's not what the world is. That's not how it works. That's not how anything works. If you want respect, you have to give respect. And there's a point in time where we have to start thinking, like, we are all in this together. Like, that's why it said right there on our overlay here, and it says we do need change. We also need to look at ourselves as a whole.
Yeah, we do.
Respect everybody as one race, the human race. And man, look, I have friends who are Black. I have friends who are Mexican. I have friends who are Asian. I have friends of all ethnicities. I have friends who are gay. I have friends who are straight. I have friends who are trans. I have friends of all cultures. And the one thing that I try to do is respect people for what they believe in. And so we have a show called On and Off the Field, Dylan Moran. And he posted on his social media, and he posted
on the RTF network.
And so, well, they actually left the RTF network. It was their time to leave the RTF network, but
my bad.
They announced it today on their show. But him and I went back and forth, and then I messaged him, this morning to say, hey, look, just because you believe some things and I believe some other things, and we look at things differently, doesn't mean I don't respect you. Doesn't mean I don't respect the things that you do. Doesn't mean that I don't love you as a person. It just means we disagree about some things, and that's okay. And he messaged me back and he said, yeah, absolutely. Same thing. I'm still going to watch your show. I still love you guys. I still love everything that you're doing. And I conveyed the same thing back to him. We need more of that in the world. We need more of, look, I understand what you're trying to say, and I might even believe in what you're trying to say, but I'm going to go about it differently. Like, you get this whole thing right now, and I think that the problem with the movement now, and this is for me, so this isn't, it might be what you think, Soup, but it might not be.
No, floor is yours, man.
I think that for myself, I think that the problem now is the faces that they have of the movement, where you want me to say, and you want me to come forward and be like, well, Jacob Blake, he got shot 7 times in the back, and this and that. I mean, this guy was wanted on a warrant for sexual assault and domestic violence, and he wouldn't listen to the cops. He was armed. He went in and reached into a car. We have to understand that the cops, they have families too that they're trying to get home to. I don't for one second think that a cop goes into a day, and there might be some, but it's probably a handful out of the hundreds of thousands of cops that we have in the world, who go in and say, yeah, you know what, today I really hope I get to kill someone. That's not their agenda. If that's what you think, then there's something wrong with your mind too. Just like this 17-year-old kid who decided to go and cross borders and go shoot people He was on a mission. That wasn't me protecting a gas station, something that wasn't even his. That's not what he was doing. He was on a mission. He wanted to pull the trigger. He wanted to make a message, and he's a nut. He doesn't deserve the time of day. He doesn't deserve the attention. I don't even know what his name is, and I don't want to know what his name is. But I'm not going to put the faces out there of a guy like a Jacob Blake, who was ignoring orders from cops and was reaching for a weapon. What do you want those cops to do? Wait for him to do something to them? For what? So maybe he kills one of them and then he gets shot? Is that what we need to happen to be like, oh, that was okay? So that cop that day doesn't get to go home to his wife and kids? Or her husband and kids? Give me a break. That's not okay. And the messages that we're conveying is that you want that to be the face of your movement, and that's where the problem is. This isn't a movement, and it shouldn't be a movement about color, about white and black, because that's what the media is turning it into, and that's what we latch onto. That's what sells. And so you go in, and I get it, man. Things happen. But you've got these things that happen, and they're in places where we don't really understand the culture. I want these guys who are like, yeah, they shouldn't have shot. I want them to be in that same situation, and I want to see what they do. I want to see what they do when the thoughts of their children are running through their head, and whether or not they're going to get to see them at the end of their shift. I want to see if they pull the trigger. Look, I get it, man. We need change. I get it. I understand. But some of these things that we're going after, it just doesn't make sense. Man, it's getting pushed on by the headlines that we read. I one of the things that I came at Dylan with the other day was that you look at the headlines and it's different when somebody who is Caucasian dies and somebody who is African American dies. When Cannon was killed and shot in the head, the headlines read 5-year-old gets shot in front of sisters. That's all I read. But when George Floyd died, every headline that I read said white cop kneels on black man's neck. Because that's what they wanted you to latch onto. So look, man, we all need to come together. We all need to be angry about the things that are going on in the world. But we also have to use common sense. And if we can't use common sense, then we're just going to have this problem again come the next election. Because the politics and the media behind this, that's what's driving this. And I don't know about you, Soup, but that's the part here that is absolutely driving me nuts.
Well, I mean, and here's going to be an aspect where I think it's good that we learn to come to points where you agree to disagree. It's one of the things on Sports Soup I try to say all the time, guys. It's okay to agree to disagree. Heck, with social media, as I said, thank God for it. Thank God we have that platform to sit behind our screens and be warriors and everything. And if you follow me on Facebook or you're friends with me, you know that I have no fear of sharing my opinions and my views, but I tend to try to do it with what are your thoughts? Share with me what you think, and try to be constructive in response back and forth. And there's plenty of people I'm friends with, not just Facebook friends, but true, genuine friends who don't see things in the same manner that I do, that I completely respect their opinion, though. And I respect because I listen. And I also know that my world around me is not the whole world. I've been very fortunate enough that I've earned my way to be able to go overseas and save up. And when I was learning other languages, I got to see other parts of the world that are still considered first world nations, and yet we're in worse situations than I was in. And I grew up with a single mother who worked 3 jobs, eating. We had dry milk and boxed mac and cheese every day for summer, and I saw other people in worse conditions. So it's always about listening. In that aspect, my my challenge in this is where it comes to sports, because that's what we're here for, right? And that's what we're reflecting on, and it attaches to the larger social scale. When Colin Kaepernick, because now a lot of people attach it to that, when he first started with the knee, he actually sat, and then he went to the knee, and he went to the knee after speaking to someone in military service. I think it was on this podcast when I first came on with you and Wayne was still on, that shared a story that I recruit, and I sat at a table with 2 JMOs right here and 2 JMOs right here who gave 8 to 20 years of their life to the service and all fought and all went overseas and all these things. And they were 2 thought, hey, do it on anything but the flag. And the other 2 said, well, no, that's what we fought for, to give him that right to do it. But they got up and they walked and they loved each other. I'm wearing Beatles, as cliche it is. I'm wearing this shirt because I've always believed in love is all you need. Okay. And if we can just have that song going, I think life would be better if we could just remember that's it. But that does not take the place that there is hate and there is evil and there are people who do not want to do good. So with that said, the protests in sports today, people that say, well, you're an entertainer or you're just a sports athlete or you should just dribble a ball. I'm sorry, I can't agree with that, because they're American citizens like you and me, like the people up the street from where I work that work in a factory and wanted better situations for the community around them, not their workplace, but the neighborhoods around them. And they went on strike because they didn't feel that their employer who said they were going to do it would give that. And they felt that the surrounding community weren't given enough to, and they went on a strike. We didn't say, well, you've got a job, you should be happy. You don't have to live there. Many people say, well, good for you, standing up against something that's wrong. We're having sports athletes stand against something that's wrong. And even though they're entertainers and they make multi-millions of dollars every year and blah, 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 it shouldn't matter, because they're still American citizens with the same rights that you and I have. And they see injustices happening. Whether or not the aspect of the gentleman who was shot in Wisconsin, we don't have all the facts, even still to today. I've watched it. I've watched the 2 camera angles. I think there's actually 3. We've seen the aspect of him struggling. We've seen what looks like something in his hand. It's still not guaranteed. We don't have the full reports in that aspect. So I try not to immediately jump to conclusions. I was talking to a close friend of mine who's continuing to share stuff with me today. And I said, okay, that's great. Thank you. I want to continue to learn more. But the problem that I have where people take this one and say, well, it's not right because look at his, and I agree, this gentleman has a criminal background. He has, and let's put it out there, he is convicted of sexual items with a child under 18, which, if you know me, is not anything I stand for in any way, shape, or form.
He was wanted on a warrant for sexual misconduct
and domestic violence and everything. So we're talking about that aspect. But it's that situation. Have you ever gone through an issue after an issue after an issue after an issue, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with a marriage, whether it's with a work situation, whether it's and all these things are right for you to be upset with, and they pile on and they pile on, and you think, hey, I'm trying to talk, hey, I'm trying to do this the right way, hey, I'm doing this, and they pile on, and then it's that weird thing. It's her coming home and leaving the plastic baggie full of Cheetos open by mistake. Or it's you opening the door and there's toilet paper touching the ground. Like, it's the thing that really doesn't have a reason to justify your frustration that sets you off. And so the only thing I do in this situation is I listen, because I posted a video today of a white gentleman holding a Black Lives Matter sign out in front of a store. And the hatred's still there, whether we want to believe it or not. And I wrote on that. I believe most of our country does love. I think most of our country is finally get to a point where they don't care about your race. They don't care about your sex. They don't care about your sexual orientation. They don't care about your religion. They're wanting to just be able to get by every day and live life each day, day by day. But there is still a lot of hate. And that's what this kid showed. It was just an experiment. And the amount of hatred that he got as a white person from other white people, because he had a sign that had 3 words up, was appalling. And it's what I watched and thought, what if there was a black individual standing right there and heard those words? That's not okay.
Right.
And so that situation, to me, I think is just one of those things where we don't know all the details, but it broke the back end of the anger. And in those communities, they're looking for something. And when we have any type of celebrity, entertainer, even politician, someone say something that we agree with, we tend to do things like share it on Facebook. Oh my goodness, look what this person said. Look what that person said. This is this literally reflects exactly what I'm saying. There's a song we were going to potentially put on by Mises that you said, hey, it relates to exactly how I feel. We do these things. These sports athletes are at times doing this stuff, and I hear people going, that's how I feel. And people are going, they're just athletes. This is stupid. Yeah. How is that any different, though?
Right.
Than when we relate to something. So that's all I'm saying in all of this is that I don't have a problem with players striking. I have no problem with walkouts. I have no problem with them using their platform of their job to strike. If it means that they chance of losing their jobs, just like the people up the road from me did, it will be up to them to decide if that's what they want to do. And we're going to talk about that with the NBA and kind of what happened. But let them do it. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine too. But what I'm tired of is when you don't agree with it, the hate that just comes pouring out of people. That hate that pours out of people is what drives hate of other actions that leads to people being upset.
And that's and that comes from both ends. You know, we're not just pinpointing one side. We're coming from both sides of it. Look, if I go out there tomorrow and I say, look, this whole thing is stupid. Jacob Blake, you know, the cops were absolutely positively correct in their actions. And the Wisconsin Department of Justice has confirmed that he was armed. So that did come out today, that the Department of Justice in Wisconsin confirmed that Jacob Blake was armed when he was shot. So if I come out there tomorrow and I say Jacob Blake deserved to be shot and the cops were right in his shooting, and if you come back at me and you say no they weren't, and I say, well, you know what, you're an idiot, you're wrong, blah blah blah, that's not getting us anywhere.
Right. It's not.
You got to come from both sides of the fence, man. You got to listen to both sides, and that's where I come with the problem with our whole, you know, political system is that people want to argue and argue and argue. Oh well,
I hate politics.
That's Max Kellerman today. His big thing. They said, how do we invoke change? He said vote. So you're telling me that if Joe Biden's in office right now instead of Donald Trump, that cops are going to kill less black people?
Well, I think
I don't think
so. Well, hold on with that aspect, because what you just gave an example. Because when we talk vote, especially in election years, what are we thinking? That one position, right? But do really Donald Trump, do really Joe Biden, do really Barack Obama, George Bush, do they really filter to the neighborhoods of being able to fully affect them? They don't. Right. Your local representatives do. And here's the thing. Chris Paul came out on the Thunder. They decided they weren't going to play. You know what he did? He went around and said, who here hasn't registered to vote? Because we need to vote in our local communities, because that's where it affects. Chris Paul's a fantastic gentleman and that. And they found someone went around, and I heard it on 2 radio stations today. So I don't know if it's true, but 2 sports stations have stated that they believe that only 30% of the NBA superstars were registered to vote. And you do make change with your local representatives as long as they actually want to go through with action and not just be crooked politicians. And that's a whole nother story, unfortunately. But it is something that if the local politicians are going to actually represent the people, it should be a part of the solution.
That's where we. So I've been
a part. I didn't say all. A part.
I've been a big proponent of we allow politicians to stay in office too. We only allow our president to stay in office for a maximum of 8 years, but we let chair representatives sit for 30.
Oh yeah, it's too long.
So the things that we do and the things that we decide to do with our country, man, the government's supposed to work for us. We ain't supposed to work for them. They're not supposed to be getting rich off of us. But somewhere along the line, we lost sight of that, and now we vote to get these people in, and 99.9% of them are full of shit.
Yeah, well, like I said, as long as there's not a corruption, it's what they should be doing on a local scale. And I know a lot of small scale reps that do work before the sun comes up, after the sun goes down, sit at dinner tables with families, listen to the stories of their communities. And you think the president of the United States ages quick in 4 years? Local representatives that actually care age in just a year that looks like 20 years. They really do. But to your point, that's few and far in between. That's why I said it's a part of it. But like you said, they work for us. So at the same time, if we take the responsible action and go and vote, don't just walk away until the next vote. That's the other thing we do. Oh, wait, it's 3 months away, and now they're telling us to vote. Wait, who are these candidates? They work for us, so we in turn are the face, right? They're just a face for us as the group. Well, once we elect these people, that's not where it ends. That's the next part. Vote and then hold them responsible. Yeah. Go to town hall meetings. Go to community meetings. Heck, if you see something wrong with your neighbors, whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and you all together feel there's something wrong, you go together. You march to your local town hall, court hall, whatever it is, and say, we demand to speak to our representatives. That doesn't happen. We vote because the media tells us to vote, and because everyone, all of a sudden, you see all the advertisements, and we see the craziness going on the large-scale political side, and we vote, and we go, this is who I voted for. I think they were the best person. And then we go until 3 months before the next election.
And then
we have to do more work as the communities to work together.
When you're telling me that our best options to run our country are Joe Biden and Donald Trump, that's why I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We don't have a good option. I'm trying to choose between a shit popsicle and a shit sandwich. It does, like, either way, I'm getting some sort of shit. So, I don't know.
That's
anyway,
one. That's
I don't
one
want
position.
to stay on the political end. Let's get into some of the sports ends of this stuff. So, the NBA. At first, when I first wrote out the rundown, my question was, will the NBA end its season?
I noticed that.
they voted since then, and they voted to come back. Games today are canceled, but they are coming back to play tomorrow, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another spot where I just, like, I don't understand where the athletes that are postponing games but are coming back to play tomorrow. What is the message that you're sending there? Like, if it's so bad that you decided we can't play today, what changes that you can play tomorrow?
Making a stand, and first off, let's also remember, we just talked about this. Know everything that happens, right? We got reports that the Lakers and the Clippers voted to end the season. The rest of the teams didn't, and LeBron left mad. Then we got reports that no, teams were mad at the Bucks because the Bucks started this and didn't tell anyone, which I think you can.
John, don't you put that evil on me, John. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
We found out that, or we heard that people were mad at the Bucks because Orlando showed up and they're like, what the heck's going on? And they walked off the court. And they didn't talk with them, and so LeBron was mad at them. And I say LeBron not because I'm bragging on LeBron, but he's the face of the NBA, right? And that's what a lot of people look at. So we still don't know. We don't have the full details of what happened in these meetings in that aspect. So I'm going to push that aside as to why they're deciding to come back, if it had something to do with the meetings, whether that was finances or just a good agreement. Because remember, Adam Silver, we both said he's a hell of a general manager. And you've got Michael Jordan. Reports are that he's stepping in between the teams and the players to be a mediator, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's talking. It's being able to get conversation going.
And he's been out there as one of those guys who didn't want to be that guy. So the fact that he's actually being that guy now is kind of huge.
Yeah, it is. But to me, there's an aspect of I kind of flip your question, not because I'm challenging you, but to bring conversation, right? If they stand in unison to stand against something that they feel is not right, is there a time frame that needs to be done? I mean, look at this. Look at what we're doing. We literally have our whole show. Every other show that's online right now is talking about it. Every podcast I've had a chance to listen to is talking about it. The world's talking about it. They're making an impact with a couple days of saying, we're not going to play because we're standing up against something we don't feel is right. I've heard what you said from other people, and my only question back is there a time limit? Are they supposed to completely go out of the whole season? Are they supposed to do a week? Like what's the right of it?
It's not that there's a time limit. I think that here's the importance of playing the games. And I've said this before. Sports brings us together. And this is a time where we need to come together more than
Except for Yankees fans.
And
I love you guys, but screw you.
Same with Cardinals. But at any rate, look, sports brings us together. And then what do they get to do before and after games? What do you have before a game and what do you have after a game for players and coaches? You have press conferences. Mm-hmm. You have a microphone in front of your mouth. So use that platform to do the things you want to do. I applaud LeBron James all the time. I don't like LeBron James as a basketball player. I think that he's a great basketball player. I just don't like the way he flops, the way he complains, and all that other stuff. But as a human being, there's not a better person out there than LeBron James. LeBron James does more for his community than any athlete I've ever seen in my entire life. The guy is building schools. He's handing out free educations. He's doing the things that we're doing. So when a Bruce Arians
comes actually out, putting action.
Yeah. So when Bruce Arians comes out and says, stop, protesting and start doing something, and people want to, hammer on him for it, why? He's right. You walking out and not playing the game, all that did was spark debate and created more divide. Because now you got half the people that say, oh, you're a baby, oh, you're overpaid, just get on the floor and play, blah, 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 blah. And then you get the other half who say, stop saying that, these guys are great for walking out. So you're just dividing more.
Well, you're dividing more. Well, you're dividing more. You can't put that on them because the people that see it then choose to be divided. At some point, the two sides, it's like a school dance. All the boys and all the girls, right? And at some point, just because the athletes are the ones that are saying, listen, we're standing up against something, none of them have been vulgar. None of them have been rude. None of them has said anything shitty or terrible. In fact, if anything, nothing happened when we heard an actual, pretty much a racist comment by a player on the field against Luka Doncic. And yet here's something where they're just trying to make a peaceful protest. At some point, one person has to walk out and say, listen, I get on the other side of you, but I want to listen to you. I want to talk about this. I want to listen. I want to try to understand you, but I also want to voice what I feel and hope that you listen to me. Because everyone that's separated, that's not on the players. We can only control our own emotions. They don't control our emotions. And anyone that blames the athletes on their own emotional outbursts and reaction, sorry, no, you're wrong. You control you.
That's where you look at past events that have happened. And other than 9/11, which shut down sports altogether, and at a time it should have, because we weren't sure what was going on. We weren't sure where the next attack was coming from. We were at an uncertain time. And then right after that, man, did this country was great right after that. I mean, we pulled together. Everybody was, carrying flags. Nobody cared about religion, race. It just wasn't a thing.
Doesn't mean it wasn't there, though, brother.
Right. But it's one of those things where we pulled together. But then you look at other events like, let's take, one close to you over there in Boston, the marathon bombing. What happened? They shut down. They shut down the sports in Boston for the day.
They shut down the city. Everything.
They had a manhunt going on.
Yeah.
So they shut down everything. But everywhere across the sports became Boston strong. Yeah. So I understood the Bucks not playing. I understood the Brewers not playing. They don't have a hockey team in Wisconsin. But I understand when it happens in your community, doing the things you need to do, and everybody rallying around you. I don't understand how something that happens in Milwaukee or in Kenosha, Wisconsin, stops a team in Seattle from playing, or stops
Because
the West Coast from playing.
It was the straw on top of the pile. All those things underneath I talked about earlier are things that are happening or have happened in Seattle and in Portland and in Kentucky and in Washington, D.C. Not just on the aspect of just police brutality. I mean, we saw in Washington, D.C., 2 people, one woman who marched with Black Lives Matters day in and day out for weeks on hand, be surrounded by a group and absolutely verbally assaulted in that aspect. So it's not just in that aspect, it's other ways, but all this stuff is happening everywhere. This is not just in Wisconsin. Right now, that's where the fire is burning brightest. But I mean, 2 weeks ago, Portland, a month ago, we had a section of Seattle that citizens took over, for crying out loud. LA, I guess we weren't allowed to be 6 feet from each other. We all had to wear masks, but you could have 100,000 plus people in a street area marching together. And
but not only that, but
I think we're at a point though where this is not one. It's the fire burning brightest right now, but you have a lot of fires underneath it. It's just who's going to be the person that comes in the middle and talks about them all.
And I know Brian Urlacher's taken a lot of heat for what he came out and said too.
Yeah,
but Urlacher's not wrong either. You're protesting because of a guy who was getting arrested under a warrant and would not comply with police, and who has been since found to have been armed when he was shot. That's the guy that we're protesting for. We're not protesting for, an innocent person who got gunned down in cold blood. That's not what happened here.
They're doing that down in Tennessee.
This is where the mindset has to come of, we have to look at the facts, and we have to look at what goes on, and we have to wait for that to come out before we go.
I agree.
I don't know if you remember. So years back, WWE had a guy.
Of course, you'd bring up WWE.
his name was Chris Benoit.
I know Chris Benoit very well. He was my second favorite wrestler behind Ric Flair, so I know where you're going.
It comes out Chris Benoit is dead, and everybody's heartbroken. Then they found out that his entire family was actually killed. So they shut down Raw. They go and they shut it down. And I get that this is on a smaller scale, and I get that this might not be the same scenario, but this is what this one instance with Jacob Blake feels like, is that they shut down Raw, they shut down everything, and they did all the wrestlers came out on stage, they did a tribute to him, they were all crying, it was very sad. And then
thanks for everyone that continues to comment. We appreciate you guys being here during this episode. So
absolutely. But then it comes out 2 days later that Chris Benoit actually killed his family and then committed suicide. And so then WWE looks like a bunch of fools, because they went and they did something and they shut down and they lost out on all this stuff that they lost out on for a guy who killed his family. So it kind of feels like the same sort of scenario here, because we're protesting and we're going at it. And I get that racial injustice is a bigger thing than just Jacob Blake. But this was why they said they left, was because Jacob Blake was shot. You had WNBA players out on the court with T-shirts on with 7 shots in their back.
But how many times though? How many? So it's not just Jacob Blake.
And that's what I said. I get that it's not just, but that's why they did this, was because of the Jacob Blake shoot. That was the straw that made them walk out.
A few months ago, this wasn't years ago. A few months ago, it was "I Can't Breathe" for George Floyd.
But they were still playing the games. They canceled their games because of Jacob Blake.
Because it finally was the last thing.
But this is a guy who was on a warrant.
It's not just Jacob Blake, man. It's not just Jacob Blake. You say you get it, but you're saying, why are we doing it for him? It's not for him. It's for the whole collective pot. That means there's going to be some bad beans in that pot. There's going to be some bad beans in the pot.
And I mean, yeah, I get I get what people are saying, what people are doing. I get what the players, I get the message that they're trying to convey. And so now we get basketball back on Friday. And I mean, what kind of mindset are they going to be in? Everything that they talk about, everything that we've seen from them is that they can't focus on basketball right now. So how are they going to come back and focus on basketball? I don't know. I just don't get it.
I think that's the thing what you just said right there. I don't get it. I think it's okay, by the way, to be someone to say, I don't know how to feel, or I don't know if I stand either way. And people that get to know me find out very quickly, and people get pretty mad at me. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. And a lot of times I've shared things that, for instance, and I'm not trying to bring in the larger political scale, but just kind of what the current culture is Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. I liked him very much. And then Marco Rubio. And yes, the business aspect with Donald Trump, I liked as well. And I wasn't straight saying one or the other, but I felt that there was good values in all of these different candidates for different things over the last one and this one. And it's just an aspect of me being able to say, I'm not saying it's one way or the other. And sometimes I just don't know. And I think right now it would be better for us to say, I don't know. But I stand against racism. I stand against police brutality when it's not necessary. I stand against human beings hurting one another in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Yeah, but I don't know what to do. And I think if we do that, when we see these players protesting for a day or two, it also gives us time to sit here and reflect and go, okay, let me think. Let me try to bring this in. Let me try to hear more stuff and be okay with that evaluation. And, who knows? Let's see what they say when they come back. And I think, man, you brought up a thing with Chris Benoit that I think is another interesting element. And I'm going to kind of go for a reach here. But I would slightly disagree with your assessment in the negative notion of what we saw with wrestling after Chris Benoit, because we didn't know everything yet, but those people still loved Chris and loved his family. And they mourned because they found out someone died. I connect that with what they tried to do in a mourning aspect with George Floyd's family and this gentleman in Wisconsin's family. I'm not purposely not saying his name, I'm just not off the top of my head. And hearing them, I so wish, instead of us all being at-home detectives and letting the media tell us how we're supposed to feel and the rage we're supposed to feel, I wish we'd all, on all sides, sit and just listen to the families, because they're the ones that are mourning. And if you listen to them, they're calling for change, which I agree with. There needs to be police reform, but I think it's by giving more and teaching more and setting requirements to be more. I'm a recruiter. I sit and watch these police officers be recruited. They're people coming straight out of the military or with very little experience in anything in life, and all they're asking is, do you want to be on the police force? Yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's see if we can make you a police officer. But they're saying they want reform, they want change, but they want love, and they want the rioting to stop. And if we could all listen to the families, just as, even though it was for one night and we didn't know what Chris did, we got to listen to the wrestlers mourn. It was probably one of the few, outside of when Owen Hart also fell and broke his neck, where we got to see the realness of WWE, the real emotion in these individuals, because they are family and friends. And Eddie Guerrero, in that aspect, and even in the aspect of Bret Hart, when he had the belt ripped from him by Shawn Michaels, and you could see that he felt rejected by Vince McMahon on a personal level, and he was hurt. When they react in this, those are the things we cling to. And I sometimes wonder why we're not clinging to families of the people that are involved and clinging to their emotions and hearing their hearts and trying to think through it with them. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will get to some sports. We'll talk some NHL and some MLB, and thank you guys for commenting. We got a lot of people in the comment section. You got Ryan Wright says, I think people would prefer if sports athletes just didn't get involved in politics when it comes to their games. Ryan, that's a take that I used to have too. And then when you sit back and think about it, man, politics has been in sports for as long as you can remember. And there have been some great movements in sports when it came to politics as well. So,
it does, but it brings out some frustration. That's why in sports soup we no politics talk there.
Yeah.
I don't want people just going on and looking to just undercut people at the knee. But you're 100% right. There's decades of proof of that.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll be right back. Give us about 90 seconds here. We'll be right back.
Can't see the writing on the wall. All on social media, writing down your thoughts, writing on your walls. Shit, I'm guilty of it too. Few comments almost made me come unglued. Had to put my phone down, pick up my Bible, spent time praying in the pews. Spent time praying for the youth, including my now I'm raising too. Boys need to understand what it takes to be a man, stand up for the truth. And when you stand on the truth, don't stand out who you say it to. No one's listening when you dissing, they just stand and wait to shoot. So I won't take a knee. I'd rather take two. If that's what it takes to see breakthrough. Okay, cool. No, I don't hate you, but understand why I'm taking two. Knees is one for Jesus, and the other is to make a truce. Father, where the hell are fathers? Hit and run, you get your son and get your sons and daughters. Now your sons and daughters, having sons and daughters. Don't know how to raise them, cause they ain't been racist daughters. Let's go. Father, where the hell are fathers? Hit and run, you get your son and get your sons and daughters. Now your sons and daughters, having sons and daughters. Don't know how to raise them, cause they ain't been racist daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue we face today isn't a matter of color, but a matter of character. If we're going to fix the communities we live in, we must start in our homes, and it must start with the head of the homes. Fathers, where you at?
All right, we are back. Again, that was Mises with Our Father, another one where he's got a great message, man. I love, that where he talks about it, we don't have a problem of color, we have a problem of character. And that's where I stand on a lot of it, man. It's, I just, yeah.
How do we act to one another? How do we treat one another?
And I try to teach my kids that it doesn't matter. When you go to school, you choose your friends, and they don't, I can't tell you how many times that I've seen my kids playing with, other kids of my friends who are, Hispanic or who are Black or who are Asian. And never
we're not born with that, man. The kids are a perfect example. You look at young kids, it's all taught.
Yeah,
it's taught, and it's an unfortunate thing because, like I said, I still think that this is the greatest nation on the earth. I still think that more people love today than ever before, but there are still a lot of people that teach their children that if someone has a different color of skin, it makes them less of a human being.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate in the aspect because it's not like a joking. It's not like you have Carlos Mencia as your best friend and he openly jokes about it, and it is literally in a hateful manner. Like
he openly steals jokes about it, but either way.
Oh, who was that confronted him on stage?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. That's right. Yep.
All right, so let's get into some sports here. That's what you guys are here for. We did have some sports that took place last night, even though they took a bunch of heat for it over in the NHL. We had they did cancel all of their playoff games for Thursday.
Yep.
But I know this one hurt you. Tampa Bay absolutely destroyed the Boston Bruins last night.
Man, all three of those games. I mean, there was a close one in overtime with Philly and
Islanders.
But even then, the Philly was up 3-0 halfway through the first. Like there was it was just scoring galore. So to me, I'm crossing my fingers and I'm chalking it up to it was just a completely strange night in the NHL. I mean, Torrey Krug got kicked out of the game by a ref because it's in a game of hockey where you and I talk about, how tough they are. They still don't deal with you just being a scumbag. And
Right.
he let his frustrations out and was pissy with shooting a puck at someone, and the refs were like, "Get the hell out of here." And he was gone. Like it was a weird night with scores. Anyone that picked the overs in all three of those games did great. So
Right.
good for you.
Yeah, Tampa Bay looked really good last night. Boston looked flat-footed, and I heard that there were rumblings of they didn't know whether or not that puck was going to drop until the puck dropped. So that could have contributed to it, but at the same time, Tampa was in the same situation, so I'm not so sure you can really use that as an excuse.
Char said afterward they had no idea. They didn't find out until after the game. So people that are upset that they didn't do it, you gotta remember these guys are in different cities in the bubbles, and they're not showing up to the game and sitting on their phone on Twitter up to the minute before the puck drops. They're prepping, and people are mad at the Bucks because in the NBA, the other players like the Magic had no idea. So how do you expect the hockey players? Yeah, if they're in the court and they're actually in the locker rooms, how do you expect these guys up in Toronto to know? I think that was silly.
Yeah. So then you had the Flyers, like you mentioned, they tied the series with an overtime win against the Islanders.
They're lucky. They almost blew that.
And then the Avalanche kept hope alive. They brought that series to 2-1 with a 6-4 victory over there against Dallas. So, the NHL, it's starting to take shape. You've got teams that are, really starting to look. I still think the winner of Boston Tampa Bay will come out of the East to play for the Stanley Cup. And I really still feel like the Avalanche are still, even though they're down 2-1, are the team to beat over there in the West. So
I think the Knights are the team to beat in the West. I really do.
It wouldn't surprise me. But
it's funny. We bring up every single one of these teams, and yet we haven't brought up the one team that's in this that is playing the Knights, for crying out loud. Not once I think we've brought them up.
I don't even remember who.
Yeah, you see, you don't even. See, now I'm drawing a blank. I think it's the Vancouver Canucks. Like they're playing them, and they're not even. No one's even talking about them. They're 2 steps away from the Stanley Cup too. So
nobody likes anything that's ever come out of Vancouver.
Yeah.
You got a Bruins guy and a Blackhawks guy here, and you want to talk about the Canucks?
Yeah, I know.
All right, so moving on, we got some MLB. So Lucas Giolito the other night, we get off the show, and I get a message on my phone saying, "Alert: Lucas Giolito is no hitting the Pirates through 7." So I turned the game on, and he finishes this thing off. And look, he was a man on a mission. He was pitching quick. He was throwing unbelievable that day. That last out, though, man, off the bat, I thought that was right off the bat. I said, "Oh, there it goes."
Opposite field.
And I know Engel is probably one of the fastest. He's probably one of the fastest players in Major League Baseball. He's really, really fast, and he gets to that ball, man. That ball, I believe they said it was like 102 miles an hour when it landed in the glove. That's not off the bat. That's when it landed in his glove. 102 miles an hour.
It was humming. It was a line drive.
That was one hell of a play, and it saves the no-hitter, and that was unbelievable. I believe it was the last catch that I saw like that meant something. I believe was also a White Sox, which was when Burley had the perfect game, and who was their center fielder at the time? But he went and took away a home run.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that saved the perfect game. So
every no-hitter has at least one of those plays. And I didn't watch that game because, like I said, you and I were recording and everything. But every highlight I've seen, there wasn't any major play the defense had to make until that last one. So for it to be that one, I remember Hideo Nomo, when he threw a no-hitter against the Orioles, the bloop up the middle, they had spread the second baseman, the shortstop out, and they both went running. The center fielder wasn't close. And I don't think it was Dustin Pedroia. I think it was someone playing in for him, made like this diving, jumping, rolling catch in the small side of center field. There's always one. And the fact it was that last play, because it was opposite field line drive. And when I saw the highlight, even though I knew it was a no-hitter, I was like, holy crap, that's gonna ruin it with 2 outs. And yep.
And
so
he Engel went and got that thing. So good for him. It was a good moment. And then I don't know if you noticed afterwards, but in the celebration afterwards, which I hate when this happens during celebrations, but Eloy Jimenez went down with he sprained his ankle. Luckily, he was all right. He came back the next day and he hit a home run. And they went on to destroy the Pirates again. But that White Sox team looks really, really good. I mean, really good. They are up the middle, 3, 4, 5. They are insane. They are good, just top to bottom. Defensively, they're sound. They are playing some of the best baseball out there. They're a half game back of Minnesota. And so I really love what the White Sox are doing over there on the south side of the city. As much as it pains me to say, because I know I have a few friends who are listening right now who are White Sox fans, and they know I'm a Cubs fan, and I like to give them a lot of shit about the White Sox. But look, man, the White Sox just look really, really good, and I think that they're here to stay. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be just like the Cubs. I think they're going to be around, and they're going to be the cream of the crop of that division for the next 5-6 years until they start to have to, kind of reform things like the Cubs are going to have to do here in the next year or so.
What I'm hoping for is the Indians have it set up where they can still go. This is not like where they went to the World Series against the Cubs and they had like a year or two. They're set for 4 to 5 years. The Twins are set for 4 to 5 years. The White Sox, we could be watching this AL Central. Like if they can keep their players healthy, we could be seeing one of a blockbuster trade here or there where a person gets hurt or something. Like we could be watching the next great thing in baseball in the next 5 years. And who would have ever been able to say it would have been the White Sox, the Indians, and the Twins potentially bringing us the best things in baseball for the next 5 years?
Did either one of us have 3 teams coming out of the AL Central into the playoffs this year? And that's, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
No, I had 3 teams coming out of the AL East because I thought Boston would sneak in. Erod would come back. Yep. So we were both wrong there. But I remember we both gave credit to the third team in the AL Central that we didn't put in as getting close. For me, it was the White Sox. I said I agreed with you that they're going to be good, but I still thought they were a year away. They'd be a game or 2 out. And I think you had the Indians not making it in out of the Central. So, but you said the same thing. You were like, but they're a damn good team. Wouldn't shock me. So, no, I mean, kudos to baseball if they're smart. This is so hard because people think because I'm a Boston fan, of course I'd like to see them go out and sign big players or the next up and coming. But man, I really wish baseball would try to find a way to ensure that those 3 teams stay intact with what they have and players find a way to go there. And I think we could be just seeing something that's just electrifying for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. That Central Division is going to be so fun to watch down the stretch here.
Yep.
So, especially since they play so many games against each other, it's just these 3 teams. It's really going to sort itself out because they're going to play one another a whole lot down the stretch here, and it's going to be really good baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Speaking of really good baseball and a lot of fun to watch, I was really excited to watch this Braves-Yankees series. And man, did the Yankees look bad yesterday? the Braves swept that doubleheader yesterday, and they pounded Garrett Cole. Man.
Yep, destroyed him.
Everything they hit off of Garrett Cole was hard.
Told you, man.
It was unbelievable. It was fun to watch, because I'm not a guy who's absolutely in love with the Yankees, but it was fun to watch a team like the Atlanta Braves go in with a team who is considered to be the big dog of baseball, and let's just face it, with that lineup and that pitching staff, they're the big dog of baseball, and the Atlanta Braves just went out there and they did what they should have done, and they beat them.
It's so fun watching my World Series pick take and beat the crap out of the Yankees. No matter how much my Sox suck, you're just watching not only the Yankees get decimated with their big pitcher out there, their big acquisition, But to be the Braves, who I have win the World Series, I was just like, Mr. Burns, like, excellent, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good to watch. They played tonight, right? Or did they postpone that? I know 6 games got postponed.
Yeah, I don't think theirs did though. I mean, I'll look here real quick, but I want to say. By the way, I was just looking real quick. So I looked at the Twins schedule. Their last 6 games are against the Indians and White Sox. So
yeah,
I think those 3 teams are literally the last 6 games of this season are going to rotate around each other, which is just going to make it absolutely insane. It's going to be so good.
No, I guess that was just a 2-game series. They don't play today at all.
Yeah, they don't play today at all. They have the Phillies starting tomorrow.
Just that one doubleheader. But so they do that. Tampa continues to win too, and even Tampa is one of the teams that got postponed today. But they just continue to play good ball. And,
team ball,
and
man.
They're 2.5 games up on the Yankees now. They look really, really good. They're a surprising team to me. I didn't think that they were going to be this good. I'm not sure if they can sustain it, but they look really good. And the reason I don't think they can sustain it, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, but man, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries.
A lot, yeah. Which makes this run even more impressive.
Yeah. And then you got I don't know if you saw this earlier today, but the Padres are playing a doubleheader against the Mariners. The Padres are down, so doubleheaders are 7 innings right now in Major League Baseball. Bottom of the 7th inning,
Yay, COVID.
Padres are down 7-3 with 2 outs.
Bases loaded.
Padres win that game 10-3, or 10-7. I mean,
I was gonna say, how'd you lose 4 runs?
They come back and they win that game 10-7. They scored 7 runs with 2 outs.
Did the other team, did the Mariners, because they were up by a certain amount of runs later in the innings, did they decide to take pitches, and did they decide they just weren't going to play as well?
Yeah.
Give the other team a chance, guys.
This isn't the Texas Rangers.
Be fair.
They're playing the Seattle Mariners, not the Rangers.
Nope. The Padres, with how hot and how good the Dodgers are, which again, I put them still in my 3rd or 4th spot. I just thought that they were going to have a terrible start, and it was the opposite with how good they are.
Right.
Dominating good. The fact that the Padres are only what 3.5, 4.5 back.
Yeah,
4 games back. Some people go, oh, well, that's 4 games. When you're 4 games back from the team that is utterly dominating this league right now, that shows how good you are. Like, you and I were dead on. We predicted they were going to win the West. I didn't think we're both going to end up being wrong, but they're going to get in the playoffs, and you and I are going to look golden, because I talked to so many people, and they thought the Padres were going to be the same old Padres, like I said with the Angels. And I said, no, I think this is different. And the fact that you and I picked them, man, they're going to the playoffs, and they're such a fun team to watch. I mean,
out of it, and that game right there shows it. 2 outs in the 7th inning. They're going in game 2 right now. They're in the 7th inning of game 2 right now, and they're down 8-3 in the 7th inning. But you can't turn the game off because they might come back and win.
Yeah. Might hit some more grand slams.
Yeah, they're that team, and it just it just all the stars lined up. They started out with a hit batter with 2 outs, and then they had a guy the following batter after that had a check swing that looked like a swing, but the umpire said no swing, and so
Now with that said, here's the thing: the Padres are exciting because they're playing exciting games, and even as a Sox fan, I got to be careful with this because there's a lot of history and lore with the recent Red Sox success where these 7th, 8th, 9th inning comebacks and excitement, and it creates great buzz, right? But the only concern I'd say as we start getting into the second half of the season is they're exciting because of the fact we're watching a lot of these late inning comebacks, and that's awesome. But what happens when you get to the playoffs and let's say you line up against the Dodgers? The Dodgers aren't needing to come back against anyone. I mean, they had a back and forth game with the Giants the other night where they were ahead twice and the Giants came back and got them in extra innings. But outside of that, I mean, the Dodgers are just, it's the 5th inning and we're up 8-0 and they cruise through the rest of that game. Like, that's the difference though in these two teams.
Dodgers look so good.
Yep.
They've been there. So they're 8-2 in their last 10. They won the opening of their doubleheader. Game 2 right now, they are up 2-0 in the 5th. So they look like they're going to sweep that doubleheader from the Giants, who they were on a little win streak of their own heading into it. But LA is just, look, man, LA is the best team in Major League Baseball right now. They just are.
and we're looking at the fact that my big thing was about Clayton Kershaw. And I mean, remember, he started the year right before the year was going to start. It's like, oh, he's hurt. He's not going to be able to play. And this is what you need out of the guy. That's different. I mean, he's 4-1 and 1.8 ERA, which quote unquote you expect. But I think we were all expecting different because of how he was supposed to have the injury. Kudos to him and that team. I think they were dealing with some minor injuries together on multiple players, and they're just saying, yeah, but it's one of those teams I think are saying we know we have such a huge chance in such a shortened season that instead of worrying about because I think if this was a 162 game season, I think Kershaw would have been put on the 15-day DL to start the season. They would have been like, hey, it's a long season. Let's relax. Let's hold on. But instead, they're fighting through it. They're playing their lights out, and you and I are hockey fans. I love seeing guys play through pain and going out there to earn the championship. So kudos to them because they feel like they got screwed against the Astros. I still love to see the Padres give them a fit, but kudos to them. They got the best friggin' jersey in all of sports. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take another quick break, about another 90-second break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about some strange news stories that caught my eye today. Just something I wanted to bring up because, look, there's sometimes you just need to laugh a little bit or,
Today we need to laugh.
Just have your mind taken off of all the serious stuff that's going on. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some strange stories in sports that catch your eye. So stay tuned.
She left me for dead, all cause you were scared you would lose a little bread. Guess what now you did, told me go to hell. So if the love lost between us, started nowhere. Cause I love who I am, 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 and I ain't changing it for name. This ain't about no ego. This one here for me though. Sometimes you gotta put your needs beneath of other people. But how come that's so hard for me? It's like I got no heart for me. Stuff the pain, suffocate. Damn, I swear I'm hardly breathing. Tired of being number two to everybody else that are taking a toll on my mental health. Why am I so loyal to these sharks who left me on the shelf? Why do I care what these people think when they don't think of me? Tell them that I got no pot to piss and they just piss on me. See? The class in session, finding cause we history. I did the math, our partners leaves a fifth for me.
All right, so we're back, and we're going to get into some stories that caught my eye today.
Hey, real quick, do you want me halfway through run the Twitter polls real quick?
Yeah, let's run the Twitter polls. Let's tell these guys where they can find us and what we need them to do to get to 100 and to get some free stuff in their mailbox.
Yeah, definitely. So, hey, guys, we keep saying it every week. We're trying to get you guys to follow us. Not only that, I'm going to try to continue to increase the presence on our social media through Twitter and through Instagram and other ones, as I'm also going to be helping the RTF network on some of that stuff. So great. I get to be on my phone even more often, but less time on Facebook. I guess that's better. But we need you guys to be on there to be active. If I'm just creating stuff just for the heck of it, it's going to do us no good. But on Twitter and Instagram, at 3Shot Sports, the number 3Shot Sports, you can find us there. Of course, you can find us on Facebook at Triple Shot Sports or on RTF. But also, if you go to YouTube, and I'm going to bring it up here real quick. If you go to YouTube, Triple Shot Sports Podcast. So it's not the 3Shot Sports. It's the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. We are now right up near the top. After an ad, I worked really hard to get that because they weren't putting us up there. They're putting some old Nintendo Wii game. There we are. You get in there. You hit the subscribe button for us right there. You hit the subscribe. You can hit the bell so when we start posting stuff up about what our videos are going to be like, you can get to know what we're going to be talking about, usually the day of, earlier in the day. And just subscribe. And when we hit 100 subscribers, that's it. And some people made some jokes like, 100. We've got support in all the other platforms. We're doing great, and we love the support of everyone. But with YouTube, we're trying to be able to get it where we can change the the web address name, and it helps us be able to be put in more algorithms and really get this out so we can do more stuff. But at Triple Shot Sports Podcast, you subscribe. Once we hit 100, we're going to be giving away 5 items. And right now we're at 23. So we just get about 77 more. We're going to be giving away 5 signed memorabilia items. So all you got to do is subscribe. That's it. And then be prepared when we say, hey, we're going to do the show. And I'll find a way to connect and talk to everyone about that. So get on YouTube and subscribe. But also on Twitter, we do a poll. I try to put them up at the end of every show, usually about 3 polls. Didn't get a ton of votes, but I think this is kind of – I think this reflects well there, Mr. Combs. The Lakers lose another game this postseason. It sounds like we're going to have a postseason, so it would have been funny if they fully canceled it. But 100%, yes, they aren't perfect. So you and I in the TSS faithful, you guys agree they're not perfect. They'll probably lose another game. Mr. Combs says the Astros are pretenders. The Soup Boss says they're contenders. What say you? Mr. Combs, 50-50 split. Pretenders, contenders. I mean, this is almost unfair this week. But
Jose Altuve keeps hitting 0-4-2.
Hey, he had a good week. He brought up his batting average, what, like 231 or 241 or something like that. So
like more like 14.
And the final one, which was my favorite, which if you were on here on our last one, I kind of, I needed some stitching on the veins that popped out of my neck. But do the Colts have any reason to be in the top 5 NFL power rankings list today? And I didn't even call out the RTF power rankings. Any power rankings, 100% is this real life? No, they do not have any reason. So Triple Shot fans, thank you for making my freak out and frustration and anger be all for something. You all agree with my Irish temper there. So thank you. So there you go.
All right. Absolutely. Definitely join us. I just shared it on my Facebook page as well. Share us on the YouTube. Find us. Subscribe. Let's get some free stuff in your mailbox. All right. So let's get to some stories here that are, a little bit odd to me. So the first one that caught my eye today was father of Bengals cornerback found alive. And when I first saw it, I was like, wait, who's missing? Like, I thought maybe it was the cornerback who was missing. But then I start reading this story, and it just kind of, I kind of start to chuckle a little bit. So, Bengals cornerback Mackenzie Alexander was found alive in Florida, according to officials. He wandered into Kissimmee Prairie Preserve State Park into the park ranger's office there, and was found alive. Now, he went missing when he was picking berries with a friend. Don't know how you ended up going missing while you're picking berries, but maybe you wandered off, got lost, is what it is. So I continued to read, and it said, Alexander left Bengals camp to aid in the search of his father on Tuesday. Alexander and another man, Evans Clement, were arrested on a misdemeanor battery charge after allegedly hitting the man who went berry picking with his father. Alexander was released on a $2,000 bond Wednesday, and according to Brian Packett, who, along with Stacey Richmond, represents Alexander, he is expected to plead not guilty at a future arraignment date. So, Soup Boss, have you berry picking in the mountains?
You know what? I grew up in New England, and I grew up in the mountains, and yes, I have gone berry picking in the mountains up in northern New England. We used to go and do it. We used to go look for crawdads. We used to go berry picking, everything like that up in the mountains. I never, ever, before the days of cell phones, I never went missing for 3 days. That's not to say I didn't venture off on my own and all of a sudden turn around and be like, oh, crap, where's everyone? But usually it's hey, where are you?
How
We're
far
over here.
How far do you
cool.
wander off picking berries that you get lost for a couple of days?
What were in these berries? That's
I
what I
don't
want to know. Was he just sitting against a tree and just hallucinating because he
in,
ate
like,
the
the
berries?
edibles forest? Was he like finding the edibles? I don't know.
And what's crazy is when Mackenzie was released and the story was running out, he got arrested and then he got released. At the time of his release, they still hadn't found his dad. He was found this morning or something like that. Like
It was found this morning.
and he seems completely fine. So did he just just not want to move and decide to weave himself a new skirt out of leaves and eat berries for 3 days? Like
where did you disappear to? You just I feel like,
he's got a family somewhere else. Come on, man.
That's what I was just gonna say. I feel like maybe he met up with a mistress or something and decided to go out for a few days and just said, "Hey, I got lost while I was picking berries. Sorry, guys."
Where have you been? I've been picking berries this whole time. Don't you see it's all over my lips. It's been 3 days. Oh
yeah,
there's a lot of berries out there. Have you seen how many bushes?
Those are some good edibles.
Where are they? Oh, I ate
them all. Yeah. Dylan Moran says Jim Carrey scene from The Office.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, Dylan.
On, Dylan.
Oh, yep. Go visit in the Finger Lakes.
All right. So the next one that caught my eye. It caught my eye not because it was funny, but because I didn't know this. So Jalen Beeks of the Tampa Bay Rays goes on the injured list, and he is the 9th Rays pitcher.
Yeah.
To go onto the 9 pitchers. And they are in first place by 2.5 games over the Yankees, and they're missing 9 of their pitchers.
Yeah, you know what sucks? Shit. You know what sucks as a Sox fan? I sit here and bitch and moan that we've got a AAA team. I'm pretty sure they're picking people up off the street down in Tampa Bay like, hey, can you throw this ball right here? Hey, can you hit that? Oh, you nicked the edge of it. That's good enough. Hey, do you want to come play with us? Like, we're trying to win a division here. Like, insanity.
Yeah.
Like, you usually lose 9 total players. You're in a world of trouble, even if you have one of the best teams. And we see it with the Yankees right now. They have just 1 or 2 injuries, and they're struggling.
Yep.
9 pitchers.
We need to get Dan Sullivan from the Infinity Sports on here and find out if the Rays have called him to go in.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a Tampa Bay guy. He lives down there. They may have called them and said, hey, you available? Yeah.
Hey, you know sports, right?
Yeah.
You know what a baseball glove is? Do you know what a baseball is? We know a lot of people down here in Tampa Bay don't because they don't ever come to the games anyway. So
you're going to look like the kid from the Sandlot. Please.
Yeah. Or what's that real story of the guy who was like in his late 30s and he was like a teacher?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the true story. And he pitched for the Rays. That's what they're going to need to do. They're going to, hey, are you teaching science right now? Yeah. Are you scared of getting COVID because of all the snotty little kids? Yeah. Come play baseball. We'll make sure it's clean.
Yeah, and not only that, but we're going to play in the playoffs. So,
yeah, we're beating the Yankees.
Yeah,
insanity.
Right. So then the other one that I saw, and this one caught my eye just because it's Washington and it's their football team and it's that trash can owner that they have. So, former Washington employee says a lewd video of cheerleaders was made for owner Daniel Snyder. So I started reading into it because I was like, well, what kind of video are we talking about? Like, is he talking derogatory to him? Like, what's going on? So it was a video that was made of cheerleaders who were half naked. And they were in the swimsuit issue. So they just made a video of these cheerleaders from the swimsuit issue.
This is peeping Tom stuff.
What is going on with
this
the
is
Washington,
what
not Redskins anymore?
The Washington Crimson and Gold. Listen, we talk about it with Adam Silver. The very first thing pretty much he did when he took over in the NBA was to take that trash can of a racist commissioner out with the Clippers. I mean, owner of the Clippers. It was like, you're done. Like, I've seen enough. I don't need to do this. And no one balked. No one said, hold on. It was quick. If you remember, he pretty much saw the evidence he needed to see, and he said, "We're making the decision, and you're done." No one balked. Why, in all the good that the NFL is going through, and I get they made an announcement. It was either this morning or late yesterday that they're putting through a full investigation. We've seen enough. There's enough that's been said. If the NFL wants to continue to just dominate the way they are right now, they'd walk in there and just Stone Cold Steve Austin style, just kick him right out the window. Or this is Sparta. Just kick him straight out and just be like, "Who wants it? Who wants the team?" Because this is the fact that he is still there in ownership is complete garbage. And I mean, we've been joking over and over and over about their coach and the issues he's dealing with. And the poor man announces that he has a form of cancer, and even though it's curable, he's going to coach through it. Why the hell do you think he got cancer? I'm not trying to make a joke of it, because he had to come on and all of a sudden become the big PR man of this team that he's been a part of for 3 months. It's horrible. Why is Snyder still the owner of this team?
I don't know. I don't know. And not only why is he the owner of the team, why you own an NFL franchise? Why do you need a video of half-naked cheerleaders?
Exactly.
Buy a hooker. Yep. Do something. A video of half-naked cheerleaders. For what?
If we know anything about professional sports, if you're a racist, if you commit high-end crimes or anything like that, it is wrong. But we saw it with Bob Kraft. If you just want to go and get your Wang Wung, at some point people are going to be like, "Listen, he just wants some love," and people are going to let it go. And if it was just what you said, Dan Snyder gets caught with prostitutes, people would have been like, "Yo, Dan, oh well, we get it. He's an older businessman. He just wanted to get his Wang Wung. That's it. That's what it would have been." But no, what you just, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And I hope they rake him over the coals. This was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's insane.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that being said.
On that note, game on. Keep feeling. He shoots. He scores.
You guys know what that clip means. That means it is time for everybody's favorite game.
Just put that clip on.
No way. Yes way.
It's out tomorrow, baby. Bill and Ted is back tomorrow, and I'm pumped.
Look,
not even the Batman promo could get me off my excitement for this. I'll be one of 3 people in America that are pumped for this movie, and I don't give 2 shits.
Oh man, you didn't like that Batman promo?
No. I love it. That's what I was saying. Instead of like getting pulled off the rails, like that's great. That's later. Bill and Ted is back, baby.
It'd be one that I watch for sure. Look, Bill and Ted's one of those ones that is just so stupid that it's funny.
That's it.
That's what I get.
That's it. You know and in today's world, that's all I want.
Movies. Yeah.
I want to go to my.
It's funny movies.
I just want to go to my theater where they've got it spaced out because I'm an introvert and I don't want to sit near people, even my own kids. Like, hey, you got to go 2 or 3 seats down and just in the darkness of 2 hours, just watch the dumbest thing that makes me laugh like a stupid idiot to just get away. That's the whole point.
I was a big fan of oh God, what the hell's the name? I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of the movie. Where Vote for Pedro. What was it?
Napoleon Dynamite, baby.
Dynamite.
That's all that is.
God. Dude, that movie cracks me up, man. When they talk about freaking Uncle Rico and oh man.
Yeah, we should do like a top 5 or a top 10 dumbass but amazingly hilarious movie list or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get into everybody's favorite game, Way or No Way. And so the first one here, so I saw an article today that said that Cam Newton does not feel like he's the starting quarterback, even though he is getting all the reps. He says that every day he is taking it day by day, and he's not even worried about whether or not he's a starting quarterback. He's just trying to get better, and he's trying to learn the system. So I ask you this, Way or No Way, Cam Newton does not start the season as a Patriots starting quarterback?
No way. He will start the season. I am now fully confident that Cam Newton starts the season. And you want to know why? Everything that you just said. Do you hear the words coming out of this man's mouth? That is the Patriot way. I'm not there yet. No, I don't feel like I have it. I have to work harder every day. This is the guy that, me included, talked about the aspects that frustrate him about his focus or his ability to lead in a good manner. And though I question his dance moves when other teammates are running on the practice field right now, everything he's saying at the podium is everything that Bill Belichick wants out of him.
Yeah.
And until he realizes that you don't just go out there and you just get it. If he, not only is he doing it here, he's going to get the starting job. And don't be shocked if for the Patriots in some crazy way start the season, let's say 3-0, he's not going to change. If he's bought into this, he's going to stay through it, and that's a Patriot way. So no way of him not being the starter. He will be the starter week 1. I'm now sold on it. So
I don't think there's any way he's not the starter week 1. They brought him in there to be the starter. You don't bring in a guy like Cam Newton and not bring him in to be the starter over a Jared Stidham. But I feel like it's going to be the opposite. I believe by week 5 he won't be the starter and Jared Stidham will be the starter because they're I don't know. I don't see them having the season, and Cam Newton's not Tom Brady, and so
he's not. But he's got a contract that if he wants more money, he's got to go out there and perform. That's why I think that when they gained all this money, they didn't turn around and go, okay, Cam, now we have the money here. Why don't we redo this? You kidding me? Bill's like, nah, there's no better way to keep you focused than to say the more you play,
now he's
the more you get paid.
Well, with less weapons than he had in Carolina. And you know how he does when he starts losing, man. He just starts hanging that head, and he's not the same quarterback. I don't know. I don't see it ending well. I like the story. I like the drama, and I want him to do well. I really like Cam Newton. Yep. I've always been a big Cam Newton guy, so I wouldn't mind seeing him do well. It'd be unfortunate that it's in New England, but I do want to see him do well. But you know, I don't think they're talented enough to do what you think they're going to do.
I think it's still a 1-year stop, though. No matter what, I think this is a 1-year stop. He's gonna, and that's the other thing. That's the other reason why I think him and Bill have at least the agreement to understand. Bill's saying, listen, you want to go get that big contract. You want to prove people that you still have something left. And listen, it might not fit in our plan. So let me help you go get that big paycheck.
Yeah.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You'll get paid more this year, and you'll go get that big contract. I really think this is a 1-year gig. So.
All right. So moving on, we just talked about this, and we talked about Daniel Snyder, and we talked about the Washington, not Redskins anymore. And so the next no way comes your way with the NFL absolutely needs to remove Daniel Snyder from ownership of the Washington no longer Redskins.
If this isn't the most unanimous way ever, not only on this show, but with our fans and across the nation, it is time. You don't need to put together this investigation. I get he's a big businessman. I've talked about it before. These guys come in with money. They don't make their millions off of being football owners. That adds to it, but they still are doing things to the side. So the thought process is well, Dan Snyder could come back and sue us. Go ahead. Everyone said the same thing about the Clippers owner. Look how much he's worth. He was worth something crazy, like $830 million. And they paid him something ridiculous, like $120 million, or just to go away. Like, do the same thing. Like, you know what? You're scum of the earth. Here's $100 million. Go away. Oh, but by the way, this proof we do have, we're going to hand it off to federal investigators. Have fun being a peeping Tom and deal with the nation. Like, that's the thing I don't get. Do you sit here and investigate this long enough where actual law enforcement comes in and then it's an issue with the NFL? Or do you push him out the door so that by the time law enforcement come, you go, hey, he's not a part of us. He's right there. That guy running in the parking lot with a bag of money. There he goes. Like, they need to get this done and over with.
Yeah, this is a definite way. Ways all the way across the board. Daniel Snyder needs to be out. I heard that the lawyers today told the NFL that they're not going to investigate, that the NFL needs to investigate him independently and all this other stuff. But it doesn't matter. The NFL needs to remove this guy from ownership, and like nobody would feel bad about it. And if you tried to sue him, everybody would tell them to go kick rock because Dan Snyder's just an awful human being, let alone a horrible owner of a franchise. So the Washington, not Redskins anymore, definitely need to get rid of this guy.
Can we come up with a name? We should come up with something because we call them the not Redskins. We joke Crimson and Gold. I just can't call them the football team.
Yeah,
we should come up with something obscure.
They're going to be the Washington not Redskins anymore. I'm not saying they're the Washington Redskins, so it can't be expensive. They're not the Redskins anymore. So
what about the Washington Pez dispensers or the Washington Baby Yodas?
How about the Washington bottom of the barrels?
We call them the Washington Bobs, bottom of the barrel.
Oh, there you go, Washington Bobs. All right,
bottom of the barrel. They're the Bobs. There it is. The Washington Bobs.
Up with a team name for Washington. Everybody put it out there. Hey, put it on the Twitter. Tag Washington football team in it, and let them know they can be the Bobs.
The Bobs, the bottom of barrel, the Bobs. Oh.
And I don't even think that guy who was stealing all of their team names and putting patents on it, I don't think he did it. So you know what? Yeah. I think me and you should go and do that right now. Washington Bobs, let's put a patent on that so that way when they use it, we can earn money off of it.
The football team. What the dumb? That is the dumbest.
It's so weird seeing Washington football team in the new Madden. They need a new team name. I agree.
The Bobs. Jared, the Washington Bobs.
All right, so moving on with way or no way. Parents protesting around the Big Ten headquarters. I'm not sure if you saw this.
Yeah,
this was,
I live.
And now not only that, but now we could also throw in, the Penn State players from Penn State are suing the Big Ten.
Yep.
So my way or no way is parents protesting around Big Ten headquarters is going to, or for a fall season, will fall on deaf ears.
Will it fall on deaf ears directly with the people that they're trying to go after? Way, because of the fact that they have made it very clear they had no plan to start with. They didn't come up with a backup plan. They literally talked after they said we're not having the fall program. They came out and said we're going to meet together next week just to see what it might be like to come up with a plan come January. That's what you should have been doing. You should have said back in March, hey, we've got this thing going on. Let's start planning. What did you do for the last 4, 5, 6 months? Nothing. So they're set on this. They're not gonna. They say, hey, we've got our medical professionals, and that's who we're gonna lean on. That's good. But you know where it is gonna fall on. So no, it's not gonna. It's gonna fall on deaf ears with the Big Ten. But man, I'm telling you, these are the moves that are the beginnings of player unions. And more heading towards the players and pay and structure and free agent focus. That's not just a transfer portal in college football. In 10 years, we're going to have a fully different dynamic when it comes to college football. And it's this stuff that is starting it.
Joshua,
it's going to be different.
I'd like to protest the fact that Combs is a Bear. Well, Joshua, you can go ahead and protest all you want, but it's not going to change. I am going to be a Bears fan till the day that I die. So that's not changing. But yeah, this is definitely.
Hey, he picked your Vikings to win the division, CV.
Yeah. See, there you go. There you go. I didn't pick the Bears to win the division. I picked the Vikings.
And none of us picked the Bobs. So
nobody picked the Bobs. All right. So
don't worry though. If Alex Smith comes back, he'll make the NL East, the NFC East, the top half of the NFL. I can't even talk straight. I'm still raving about that terrible prediction, Mike.
So I gave you a tough one with your Patriots, so now it's time for me to swallow a pill myself. The Chicago White Sox might be the best baseball team in Chicago. I'll go first. They look. Their pitching staff is better than the Cubs, top to bottom. Their bullpen's definitely better than the Cubs. Their lineup is equally as potent. And so, look, right now, they are a better baseball team than the Chicago Cubs. They just are. They proved it in last weekend's series when they went out and just hammered on them for 2 games. They did lose a close one on that Sunday, but man, the White Sox are so freaking good right now. So I say White Sox might be the best team in Chicago. As much as that pains me to say it, and as much flack as I'm going to take from all the White Sox friends that I have listening right now who, I plan to hang out with some of them this weekend, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
We have a big White Sox fan that follows us on Instagram. I'm going to clip that and just put it in a post for 3 Shot Sports and just tag him in it, and he's just going to freaking love it because I've been trying to get him to listen to our podcast. I'm going to be like, look.
It hurts.
He found out you're a Cubs fan, and he was like, I don't know if I can listen. And I'm going to put that. But now I'm going to do the opposite and say, no way. Listen,
Oh, wow.
I get that the White Sox are built better for the long run. We've been talking about this, the AL Central, right? The next 4 to 5 years, we may be seeing something that we haven't seen in baseball in a while, just this inner division 3-team battle. Like they're really stacked and ready to go. But I still, and you're right, the bullpen is worse. And that's one part, though. But I still, right now, with how the season is shortened, with how it's built to have the DH set in, with the fact that I'm telling you, I'm a big believer in it with the Sox playing in Fenway. Playing in Wrigley Field is a different type of thing, especially when you start getting into the playoffs. And you should know that as well. Now, again, we don't know what happens in the playoffs, but I think when you get closer in the end, I still think this year the Cubs are still the better team. Right now, today, yes, the White Sox are having a little bit more success. They won 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. And so you're on your little downer right now, and you're on your depressant. But I'm telling you, the Cubs team this year is set to do better than the White Sox are. If you want to say who's going to be better moving forward, I 100% will agree with you that it will be the White Sox. But I am going to stand by your Cubs and tell you that even when they lose to the Cardinals in the division, they'll still be a better team than the White Sox at the end of the year.
I hate you.
Look at that. Your girlfriend questions you.
Did I just hear that right? Yes. The 10 minutes you're actually listening, and I'm going to go upstairs and you're going to be watching Big Brother or something instead of listening. But, yes, I was hoping you weren't watching at the time that I said this, but, yes, you heard me right. I believe it right now. Look, though, and it's not just me being on a downer just because they beat the Cubs 2 out of 3. That's not it. I thought that before that weekend series, I thought they could have been the better team in Chicago. And that weekend series just showed me that they were. Their lineup is more consistent than the Cubs. Their bullpen is far better than the Cubs. The Cubs bullpen is their weak link. If the Cubs could go out before the trade deadline and acquire 1 or 2 solid back end of the bullpen type guys, I'll have a lot more faith in them, and they may be the better team. But
I'm pumped to see what we get out of the trade deadline here. I'm actually hoping we get something here.
So there we go. The last one here, the Tampa Bay Rays will continue their winning ways and hang on to the lead in the the AL East.
No, I'm still going to say no way. But I said it before the season started. I had them as one of the top wildcard teams. And even though everyone said last year was a fluke, including you, I said that's not the case. They play team ball. They know what they're doing. And ever since Madden left, the thought process was they would just flutter away and become the Miami Marlins. It's so different than that. The inter-team personnel when it comes to the leadership of that team needs to hold on to what they're doing before they all get torn and taken by the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox, because they are doing something extremely right. It's almost like the Billy Beane effect in Oakland. They have figured it out. They figured out how to find the right players to play the right way, to be unified with each other and play team ball. With that said, though, we brought it up. They have 9 pitchers down. Though they've been amazingly successful, that can only last so long. The Yankees are on a downturn. I said this to you. They do this every single year. They get a player or 2 down and they go down. But what happens with the Yankees is they go down and they come right back up. The Yankees are going to go on a tear to end this season. And I think the Rays are going to be in the way. I think the Yankees win this division, but I think they only win it by 2 or 3 over the Rays. So no way they hold on, but definitely are a contender in the AL East.
I think the same. I think that the Yankees eventually figure this thing out. They get healthy, and they do what we thought that they would do all year, and they go on a tear, and they end up winning this division, albeit like you said, a close one. But the Rays aren't a bad team. They're not going to go. They're not going to go away. They're better than I thought that they were, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I didn't think they were as good as they are. But they're definitely one of the top teams in the American League. They're probably the fourth best team in the American League when it gets down to it. And so they're playing good ball right now, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, real quick for you. Do you think the Tigers are a good team?
No.
Do you think the Cardinals are a good team? Serious question.
No.
Do you think that the Pirates are a good team? I'll wait.
That was a serious question?
Yeah, I'll wait.
No,
okay.
they're not.
Here's my only thing with the go back to the White Sox thing. Outside of your 3-game series with your Cubbies, in which they won 2 out of 3, that's been their opponent for the last week and a half. Tigers twice, the Cardinals, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you're a good team, you should. We talked about this. You should beat the teams you should beat, right?
Yep.
But I'm just telling you, my Cubby faithful co-host, take a breath, relax, and let's wait until this White Sox team start putting in these series with the Twins and the Indians. Again, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, and I think the White Sox are a decent team, and they're going to be doing some great things over the next 5 years. But I'm telling you, their recent success focuses a lot on these teams that they're currently playing, which is good. You should beat them. But, I mean, great. They threw a no-hitter. That's a huge moment. They threw a no-hitter against the 8-win Pirates. I mean,
yeah,
the Pirates could go on COVID and not play for the next 3 weeks, and they would have the same record they would than if they played the 3 weeks. Let's be honest. So that's the only thing. Walk away from the ledge, my friend. Come hang out with me. You're good.
My girlfriend's nephew chimes in and said, "Hey, this is Finn. Bye, Brandon. You're a traitor." He's leaving the house. He is. Look, this kid is 9 years old, and he is a huge Cubs fan. He loves Javier Baez, and so him and I get along very well. I'm sorry, Finn. I'm sorry, but look, I have to be honest sometimes, and sometimes, kiddo, honesty hurts. And look, that's just how I feel right now. It's just how I feel.
My
Jared
oldest son
Terry,
is in Toronto,
fired.
raising Astros ALCS.
Jesus Christ!
It's gonna be Twins.
The Astros aren't even making the playoffs.
I'll stick with the Twins. We'll wait. Let's wait for the trade deadline, okay? My oldest boy, by the way, is Toronto.
Rays get to play the Rays get the benefit of 2020 because they get to play in front of the same amount of fans as they always play in front of. So they get kind of a home field advantage there.
You see that joke about the guy who pitched for the White Sox, got the no-hitter, and they were like, it's the first time in front of no fans, and they were, wait a minute, they had a guy 4 years ago in front of the Miami that had no fans. It was no different.
Yeah, look, the White Sox, they don't draw well. The White Sox almost never have any. I mean,
whenever I see highlights.
They've been like under 5,000 fans.
The year they won the World Series was the year after the Red Sox. It was 2005. It was after the Red Sox broke their curse. That was the whole thing with the Cubs thing, was they were the next one that needed to have that drought broken. But I remember the Red Sox went in there, and the Red Sox were hurt, they were destroyed, they were tired, and they were partied out, let's be honest. But they got in the playoffs. I remember they went to Chicago to play that series against them. It was the friggin' you were playing in the playoffs against, and that's when they had Brzezinski and good players on that team, against defending World Series champions, and half that stadium was empty. Yeah. How was half that stadium empty?
In the World Series, they had to give away tickets to fill the stadium.
I couldn't believe that.
Series, they just don't draw well. Like, there's this town, and as much as White Sox fans hate to admit to it and hate to agree to it, it's a Cubs town. If you come to Chicago to see a baseball game, you're talking about Wrigley.
Yep.
I mean, you just are. And as much as they hate to say it, as much as I feel like they're the better team right now, they just don't draw well.
No.
And their fans, they're not faithful fans. They're what have you done for me lately type fans. And even when you're good, they're not filling the ballpark. So, it's sad. It really is, because the White Sox have a good product. They have kids that need to be seen, and they really got some really good fans, but there's just not a ton of them. So
they ruined a New England hero, Carlton Fisk. They ruined his career, man. That's what I'm saying.
Hey guys, start getting your stuff in here for our Shop Talk segment.
Let's hear it, guys.
Shop Talk is brought to you by BigDogPoker.net.
Woo!
Go to BigDogPoker.net, and when you log in and submit your first, once you submit your first deposit, it'll ask you for who your what's the word I'm looking for here, who referred you, and you're gonna put in Go Cubs Go. That's capital G-O, capital C-U-B-S, capital G-O. Go Cubs Go.
One word.
And that is my screen name for when I log on. That's the name that I play under. I play under all the time. These guys got great tournaments, man. These guys, they've got cash games where you can play anything from a penny, from a penny blind all the way up to, I think they've got some that are like 200 and 400 blinds. So they've got some really good tables. The tournaments are really good. You got some that you could pay, $7 for and end up winning over 1,000. So I mean, look, just check these guys out. If you're into poker, BigDogPoker.net. And again, the name that referred you is Go Cubs Go, all one word, capital G-O, capital C-U-B-S, capital G-O, Go Cubs Go.
And if you're on Facebook, they have a group there. And once you join on, you get on their group on Facebook, because you got to give the name that you give. They give you in there. And these guys are posting and talking all the time. Good stuff. So I'm on there now. I haven't played there yet because I'm doing poker with my mom, but it's signed up. I'll start playing soon. I have it as TSS_Soup Boss. So you'll know me when you see me out there.
There you go. So what do you guys want to talk about? Anything you want to talk about, we will talk about. We will touch on. I know that we hit earlier in the show. We started talking about some of the current events. Got into a little bit of some stuff that normally we don't like to get into because this is a sports show. But this is your segment. So whatever you guys want to talk about, just hit us up in the comments section. We'll throw you up there. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So definitely hit us up. Jared Parrott wants to know, what's our favorite frozen pizza? So this one's easy for me. None of them. I don't like frozen pizza. I am a order from the pizza place type guy. I also am a Chicago pizza type guy. So I really like my deep dish. And I like my pizza cut in squares whenever I get my regular pizza. So I'm a Chicago guy. I do not like frozen pizza. I've never had a really good frozen pizza. So what about you, Soup Boss?
Yeah, man, I can't. I'm sorry, man. Even though when I lived up in New Hampshire in Keene, we had Uno's up there, Chicago Uno's, and we had a guy who we called him 60% Greg because he had 6 G's in his name. And I loved everything about that except for the dang pizza. I can't stand deep dish pizza. I can't stand the fact that it feels like soup in a bowl, but it's pizza. Like, fuck, just spread the dough out and put stuff on it and let me eat it. I'm from the Northeast. I guess that's part of it. But I don't have a favorite brand per se off the top of my head, but I do know by colors of boxes and stuff. But my favorite pizza is margarita pizza. So it's by far my favorite. And it's recently there's 3 or 4 or 5 companies that have it. And there's one that's got a black and yellow box. I know what it looks like. And there's another one that's an all white. Those are my top 2. I don't know the brands, but margarita pizza, I actually don't mind them. There's a couple of good ones.
Chicago has, I like, so my combo that I always go to is sausage, green pepper, and mushroom. And man, Beggar's Pizza out here.
You look like a guy that's your dish. You fit the image of a dude like that.
All right, so Jared Parrott again for the Soup Boss. Is Chara done?
No, he's not done. He's made it very clear. And in fact, they had contract conversations, and I almost want to say that they signed him. He's not done. Is he getting older? Is he getting slower? And is he starting to show? Oh, heck yeah. But there's an aspect of his voice And especially now where you have the situation with Tuca, what's going to happen with him? This team is, as I swear we've been saying since they won their Stanley Cup back in 2012, 2013, they're so close. We've seen them go to the Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks. We've seen them go against the Blues. They lost both of those. They're close. He's the veteran voice. Now, what you may see, I know he's on that perfection line. You may see it get to a point here coming up in the next year or two where they have the conversation and he agrees to it, where he drops down a line or two. Like, he's done a good job teaching. But I don't think he's done. Hockey's a different beast. You can play.
Do you feel like he's holding on too long?
No, I don't. He's still – is he the same Chara that we saw 5-10 years ago? No. Does he still go out there? Like, no, he knows how to use his stick around the net so well. He can still block the – he could still block the corners. But these younger guys that do get by, if he doesn't throw his whole weight, they get through. It's harder for him to all of a sudden come up and be able to catch up on him. But again, remember, he's defense. He's not needed for that as often. So, no, I don't think he's done. I still think he's got 2 to 3 years left.
Oh, man. I have an opposite opinion. Like, I think he's one of those guys who's just hanging in there. And I don't know that Chara isn't, shouldn't be done anyway. I know he's going to come back and play, and that's what he wants to do. That's fine. I feel like you get those players who hang on, and then at some point you just kind of feel sad when you start watching them because you're like,
Brett Favre last year in Minnesota.
Yeah. I'm like, I remember what you were, and now I'm watching what you are. Man, I really wish you were back there.
That's why I think with hockey, the interesting thing is you can hop down a line or two. And be able to be just as effective and with a voice. Listen, he's not the A+ or A- player. He's a solid C+ player right now. That's the truth of it. But that doesn't mean he's done.
Jared, Mr. Combs, who do you want the Cubs to add at the deadline? Ooh, Bauer maybe?
Could they?
I don't think that. Look, Bauer would be a great addition. I mean,
but can they?
But I'm okay with our rotation. I'm okay going into the playoffs with Hendricks and Yu Darvish and John Lester and throw whoever Tana if he's healthy, throw him in there. So I'm okay with that. They need to add back end of the bullpen guys.
Yeah, bullpen.
They really need a 7th and 8th inning lockdown guy. I really like Jeffress. I think Jeffress was a great addition. I have absolutely zero confidence in the boy that we picked up over there from freaking Boston, even though he went to the World Series. But man, every time this guy pitches, man, it's just heart attack city, and he's not what he used to be. He can't pitch out of trouble like he used to. He used to get a heart attack and then pitch out of it. It was almost like he couldn't pitch without the bases being loaded, and then he would pull out of it. He can't do that anymore. So they really need a 7th, 8th inning guy. I really want to go see them pick up some bullpen. I also wouldn't mind them going to see them get a guy, and I spoke about this last week. I wouldn't mind going to see Tommy La Stella come back to the team. One of those guys who just provides a spark, a guy who can play, the infield, can play the outfield, can give some guys some rest, and can be an everyday player for you. I really like Tommy La Stella. I liked him before they let him go. So there's somebody else that
it's that local player that brings excitement that in Boston right now, even though we're not doing well, we've got Brock Holt who left the team and then he got demoted. And there's a lot of fans that are clamoring, like, bring him back. Like, no, he's not. I mean, even though he was the only Red Sox to go to an All-Star game like 3 or 4 years ago, he's not going to come in and ring true, and bring anything around, but he's going to bring excitement. He's going to bring positive vibes. That's the type of guy I think would do well for the Cubs because of the fact you guys are contending, having a guy like that in there. Because, I mean, the Sox suck, and yet we want Brock Holt back to play with us. So.
Yeah, he says Barnes maybe. He's the theory. Yeah, Barnes would be a great addition. I also – look, I know Boston fans are down on him, but for a 7th or 8th inning guy, man, I really like Eovaldi.
No, I think he's great.
I would love to go get Eovaldi.
Nope. Can't have him.
But you don't think he's
the only thing out of the positional players that we have. Like, that's it. Like, that's all we have. Like, I know Chris Sale technically.
Really?
We have Erod and Chris Sale, but right in our season today, That's all we have. Like, we get to look forward to every 5 days him pitching. That's it. Okay.
But he's one of the guys I like to go see. As far as relievers go, you can go out to San Francisco. You can go out to Pittsburgh. You go out to some of these teams that aren't going to be what they are. Pittsburgh's got some good young arms in their bullpen.
They're in selling position like crazy.
Oh yeah. You're not going to be able to go within the division, but Cincinnati's got some really good bullpen arms.
I think Cincy's going to hang on to what they got. It's the first spark
they're not going to trade within the division anyway.
Right.
They're not going to get rid of it. They're not going to give the Cubs an Iglesias or anything like that. So you got to go. I think you go out west. The American League's so tight. I'm not so sure there's going to be so many sellers. You might be able to go get somebody on loan from like the Angels or something. Somebody who's on their the last leg of their deal. But yeah, that's what the Cubs need. So Soup Boss, why don't you go ahead and tell these guys one more time where they can find us and what they need to do to get some free items in their mailbox. Guys, it's not that hard. Soup Boss, let them know what to do.
Super, super easy. So first, to start again, Twitter and Instagram at 3 Shot Sports. The number 3 Shot Sports. Simple. We put up polls. We post things on Instagram. We also add the stories so that you know when we've got things coming up. If you forget which days that we're on, you've got the notification there on the stories, and you can save those and actually get notified when we say, hey, we're going live, and it has a countdown meter to it. So that's a good thing there. But you can find us on YouTube. Guys, we're trying to really push the YouTube aspect of it, not because YouTube is more superior than the aspect of Instagram or Facebook, but it helps us with algorithms. It helps us get noticed a little bit more. Plus, a lot of people, I think, are still not realizing if you comment on YouTube, it goes into the regular comments. Go Cardinals, Alan. Attaboy. I was waiting. I was like, where's my boy, Alan?
Lost to the Pirates today.
Yeah. Oh, well. So Triple Shot Sports Podcast. So on YouTube, it is not the 3. That's the only thing, because someone else has it. It is Triple Shot Sports Podcast. All you got to do is go on, subscribe. That's it. Literally, if you have a YouTube account, go on, subscribe, and then have the alert. Share. Go on, give us some likes. We'd love that. But you just got to subscribe so we can get to 100 subscribers. And when we get to 100, we'll make a post saying, hey, we're going to be doing the giveaway, and we'll find an awesome way of doing that. We're going to be giving away 5 signed memorabilia items. And you may be watching this and going, I don't really want any signed memorabilia items. We'll figure out a different way. Or guess what? With how tight people are with the current COVID situation, I know someone in your family. If you're watching this, someone in your family will love signed memorabilia items. You can save that stuff for Christmas. So Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Get on there. Subscribe.
I hung it up so you guys can see it. This is
Tatis
Tatis Jr. It's got the autograph right on the 2. You got the little sticker down at the bottom of the 2. You probably can't see it on the camera, but there's a little sticker there. That's your authentication. I've also got a certificate of authentication that'll come with every item that I send you. So look,
you can win that Tatis Jr. and then send it to Soup Boss as a gift because I can't be in it. So that's how simple it is. But make sure on YouTube, I don't understand the setting aspect, but it's got to be public because I can't see anyone that hides your subscription. So just make sure your subscriptions are public.
I saw one on eBay today going for $1,200.
Are you stressing?
A little bit. I'm really hoping that they go for the gift card. All right, guys. That's all the time.
When you said 5, I was already shocked. And then you're like, I'm doing Tatis Jr. And I was like, are you picking berries in the middle of the field there, Mr. Collins?
My edibles kicked in. No. All right, guys. So that's all the time we have for now. Remember, 3 Shot Sports on Twitter. Find us on YouTube at Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Subscribe, and we can get this thing rolling and get some prizes out to you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night. And as always, we love you. And there's the muted mic, so he can't say go Cardinals.
I was going to say love is all you need, guys. Love one another. That's it.
All right. And I muted his mic again just in case. Have a good night, guys. We'll talk to you later.